Okay, folks, we're going to put this cylinder head on, and I know before we even start, I'm going to get all sorts of comments like, why didn't you use a torque wrench, you asshole? Well, maybe because I don't have one here, and I got a pretty goddamn good idea of how much torque to put on a 7/16 stud with a nut. So I'm going to go get the gasket. I'm going to dribble a little bit of gear oil in there because this cylinder is badly scored. And I think some gear oil on that piston there will give us some temporary compression anyway. We'll dribble a little bit of that out of there. Don't need that much. I want to have a nice clean surface here. And I will go with the gasket, which is covered with copper coat because it's been used twice before, and so I'm going to have to use a bunch of Oklahoma gunk to make it hold. No offense to you folks from Oklahoma. That's just kind of a that's just kind of what people say sometimes. Please don't take offense. I've actually been in Oklahoma once. There's already never sees on these studs. And what that's going to tell me is the next somebody else is going to comment saying you're supposed to put them on dry. Well, these things were so rusty and buggered up when I took the nuts off that I used never sees on them anyway. And I just compensate that with the torque I put on them with my homemade torque wrench, which is my right arm. And if you're bored with this, go watch a different video. You're more than welcome, you know. This is the United States of America. Nobody forces you to watch anything. But it might be interesting to a few people, so that's why I put it up. These are probably one of the most miserable things to work on I've ever seen. The only thing easy is the cylinder heads. I had to take half the tractor apart to get to that carburetor, and I still couldn't take it off because I needed a half-inch crow's foot, which I didn't happen to bring with me. So I took the top of it out, and luckily the float valve was there, and it was all corroded up, and the float wouldn't move. Got that freed up a little bit. So if I get any compression out of this thing, I'm going to reassemble the fuel system, and we're going to see if we can't get any fire in this thing. But if we can't, we're done. We'll go back to Fluffy, the D8, and get it to run and tell the owner of this thing that if they don't want to put a bunch of money in it, it is never going to run. Okay, here we go. 30, 30, 30, 30, 30, 30. Now, one of you guys with a Caterpillar Serviceman's Maintenance book is probably going to tell me I'm torquing this in the wrong order. Well, I don't happen to have the book. So I've just taken it, pulling it out of my ass and doing it the way I think it should be done. Okay, we're getting 40 on them now. Now, 45 to 50 is what you're supposed to put on 7/16 grade 5, I believe. Something like that. I don't have a torque chart with me, but once we run this thing, we'll run it without water for a few minutes and get it good and hot. Then we'll retorque it, and then we'll wait till it cools and we'll retorque it again. And like I say, this is the third go-round for this new gasket, and it may leak like a sieve. But we're out here in the middle of nowhere doing what we can with what we got. So we will see you later.